Alright, so about 3 years ago, I said I was going to make a video on anime based on Western media. According to my research, in that time, there's been at least 5 million more anime based Western media. So I'm doing this now so I don't need to cover a billion more. So anime's reputation has changed a lot. You can now say you like anime openly without being shoved in the locker. I mean, it also applies to comics and games and cartoons and basically everything else, I guess. But hey, anime in particular has definitely exploded in acceptance. That means that now, alongside realizing that anime is super profitable, a lot of companies decide to match that square peg into a round hole. And now, we've got a ton of anime series and movies based on Western properties. And this is a video discussing them. Not all, but most. This is the big video, guys. Let's just get into it. So if you're a really old viewer of mine, you remember a 2-part video I made discussing every anime I saw at the time. Two of the shows I discussed at the start were Stitch and Powerpuff Girls Z. I didn't like the other show, but that was based on my memories of a series, not a rewatch. And it's been 4 years, I think it's about time to revisit these. I started with Powerpuff Girls Z, arguably the face of this trend before this decade, and they started giving everything anime. I really love the Powerpuff Girls. I really didn't like this as a kid. As for now, let's have some background first. PPG is an extremely big series worldwide, and its mix of action and cuteness is of course big in Japan. So taking that premise and making a standard magical anime girl checks out. Even if it's super ironic, considering that the series was kind of made as a slam against Sailor Moon. Watching this series, I still don't like it, but I respect it. Doing more research, this wasn't made for PPG fans. It was made for Japan and their culture. And hey, that's fine. I know the series has a lot of fans. I'm just so attached to the original series that doesn't really mesh well. They majorly changed the backstory for one, where an iceberg is threatening to crash in Japan, so the professor's son, yeah, he's a son now, uses chemical X to destroy it, resulting in rays blasting off and hitting 3 unrelated girls, who then become the Powerpuffs. I don't know, I think the normal backstory is just so iconic that it feels weird to change it. The changes to the girls themselves are interesting. It gives a different vibe to them that makes them stand out. And Buttercup is mostly the same, though it really made Bubbles more mature, slightly, she's still a goober, and Blossom more ditzy. I assume it to fit the Magical Girl series mold more, having the main character be a little goof, and the blue one being more serious. Most of the other characters are basically the same. Only real changes that Snake and Little Toro from the Gangrene Gang are woman and robot respectively. I don't get it, but hey, it's cool. I love women and robots. #1 woman and robot fan. Besides that, it's your standard made for kids Magical Girl show. It's fun for what it is, but the original has the professor singing about freedom beef, so sorry, you lost this round. I will say, while they couldn't get the original cast for the dub due to budget reasons, the new voices are actually really spot on. All 3 girls, Morbucks, and the mayor, I could genuinely be tricked into thinking they're the real deal. And Mojo, Fuzzy, and the Gangrene members aren't 100% accurate, but close enough to match the originals where everyone complain. I will say, Kevin's voice sounds much closer to Krusty the Clown than his normal, really haunting voice. And the professor, I mean, it's good, but I'm more so reminded of a different Cartoon Network character whenever I hear him.
Not yet, Ken. There's still a lot of testing to be done. Right now, there's no telling what could happen if we...
Same with the robot dog.
Maybe this'll do it.
This isn't the Powerpuff Girls and Indie crossover special I wanted. Yeah, I don't really care for this show, but there's definitely nothing wrong with it, and I'm glad it's gotten a passionate fan base recently. Better than a reboot. There, I said it. I'm happy everyone made this joke. We then move on to Stitch, with an exclamation mark. That's really important. It also makes the show really hard to look up, but hey, as we all know, being a content creator is the hardest job there is, so this isn't a shock. If you know anything about me, you know I love Stitch. He's one of the most important characters to me. The movie, the show, the stuffed animal, my 33 terabytes of Jumbo X Piggly fanfiction, love it all. I'm not alone on that though. Stitch stands alongside Frozen as the biggest Disney property of the 21st century. The series is pretty famous pretty much everywhere, and that gives it a lot of special attention. Like, in Kingdom Hearts and Disney Speedstone, for example, Sparky and Angel from the cartoon appear. These are the only TV cartoon originating characters in either. Oh, well, that's just because it's based on a movie, right? No. There's a ton of other movies that have shows that are featured in these, but they don't get characters from the show in them. Heck, Angel still gets merch to this day. Something actual shows Disney makes nowadays never get. It's, of course, the biggest in Japan. In a somewhat recent poll, the Stitch cartoon was the only Western series on a poll of the most popular animated series there. There's a Stitch-centered shop, and again, I mentioned Kingdom Hearts, which is a primarily Japanese game. Also manga, but this is about anime, not manga. I ain't talking about the Shrek manga, which yes, does actually exist. But there's something you probably noticed was missing. That third word of the title? Doing great. Where's Lilo? Well, while Stitch is super popular in Japan, Lilo isn't. She's a bad role model in their eyes. She gets toned down in a lot of these. This is best shown, of course, in Stitch. I don't love the anime very much. Now, there is a misconception I need to clear up first. In the first episode, it's mentioned by Jumba that Lilo abandoned Stitch for a new boyfriend. And I hated this because it spits in the face of the entire faces of the family. Obama... Okay, this isn't scripted. I wrote Obama instead of Ohana. Obama means family, and no one is like... I'm keeping that in, frick it. No, I'm keeping that in. Looking more into it, it's not the whole story. But she did leave, but for college, and always intended to come back to Stitch. She intended to meet up with him much earlier, and had to first see Nani, who was pregnant at the time. It's not that bad. This is still not a good show. It just feels watered down when compared to the original series. I know why Lilo isn't there, but her relationship with Stitch is the focal point of everything. Stitch without her just isn't the same, and her replacement, Yuna, while not bad, is just kind of someone for Stitch to talk to. What really pisses me off is when Gantu and Ruben go back to Hamsterville and become villains again. I love their redemption at the end of the final movie. It felt earned after all the bullying Hamsterville put them through. But, nope, can't get a job. To Hantaro they go! There's also a new villain who just does not match the rest of the character designs. She feels so off. I will give a major thing to it, though. The new experiments. At the end of the final movie, they gave a list of every experiment, with most being new ones we never saw. It's super obvious written by some underpaid worker, and they needed to get it done before the burrito cools, because all the names of the aliens not shown in the actual show are very generic. This show takes names from that list, and actually makes full and really cool experiments for them. It would be so easy to ignore that and make their own, but I really appreciate the care they had for the deep Stitch lore. Overall, though, it's a fun memory, but not something I recommend, even to Stitch fans. Oh, and this isn't the only Stitch anime. There's also an official Stitch and High School Musical anime crossover. That Stitch is funnier than anything I could possibly write. Moving on to those two to New Horizons. While a lot of modern media is very clearly based on anime, this goes way back. One of the first best examples is The Matrix. So, of course, when expanding the film from a classic piece of sci-fi to a classic piece of sci-fi that has a bunch of spin-offs, latched onto it like a leech. An anime film makes sense. And if the first Matrix is Alien or Terminator, then this is Aliens or T2. As in, the only other part of the series that's actually unironically good. Again, unironically. This is an anthology series made of 8 segments. The first one is an Odd One Out, an all CGI segment that starts with 2 people fighting in a dojo. Why is woman stripped but not the man? Let me see the 3DD. It's kind of weird to start with something so different. But it's a good start. The second one sucks, I killed a cat. No, but seriously, the second Renaissance is probably my favorite segment, showing the creation of the AI and robots, and how they eventually overthrew humanity and created the Matrix. Oh, this is different now. This is all told to us by Lola from Shark Tale. You know, I remember the original Matrix trilogy is fairly tame, even fairly campy at points due to having pre-John Wick Keanu, but this film does not pull punches. It's fairly graphic. Kid's story has a kid denied access to playing Fortnite, so he breaks out of a school with epic gamer skills. Or whether he's in the Matrix or something, I don't know, I didn't watch this film. I just read the Wikipedia article. This is notable for being one of the only 2 shorts here to actually include a notable Matrix character. That being Neo, played by Reddit himself. Not much to say about the next 2, World of Record or Madhouse, except I really love both their styles. Alongside, it's kind of funny that the main character of the former is named Sis, after both Versace sisters came out as trans. Beyond seems to be a lighter segment about this woman looking for her cat, and they and some kids find a place where physics don't apply. It's all nice and happy and beautiful. And then the second cat murder. A detective story is, well, a detective story about a detective trying to find a hacker named Trinity. She's in the films, so, spoiler alert, he doesn't catch her. Let's freaking go! The cat doesn't die this time! The final segment is Matrix related, which is a very fun word to say. It starts with someone breaking into a facility where Mew is held, before revealing it's just a test. The main character here is Alexa. If that sounds familiar, and she looks familiar, it probably has something to do with her being made by the creator of the series Alan Flux. This is also taking a robot and trying to convert it to being a good guy. And it works! Until it doesn't. Overall, this is all a really good collection of shorts, and a lot to the Matrix of the series. Even if hearing well-known Western voice actors takes me out of it a bit. I'm sorry, it's hard to take this story about one of the few places free from the grasp of the Matrix seriously, when all I can hear is Phil and Lil. So this game is a shock to me, but apparently, TMT isn't very popular in Japan. The reason why it seems to vary, its representation of ninjas and Japanese culture being shallow, it's just basic lack of interest, or because it's too violent.
Some moves, Donatello!
Despite that, it did manage to get a 2-part anime. It looks nearly identical to the A7 show, but the turtles have a brand new ability to turn them to an even stronger form. Wolverine. There's not much to this series. It's very in line with the 87 show, and just being a cheesy and fun series where not much makes sense, but it's just dumb fun. Also, the start of the theme sounds like the theme for the Ghostbusters. Honestly, this could have been an arc of the old show, no one would have questioned it. Sadly though, never got imported, so I watched the sub. This means that I'm exposed to them trying to make Krang cutesy. The giant brain monster. You know, maybe there's a reason the series never caught on. As a loyal and diehard Nintendron, I never played Halo. I mean, maybe a round or two at a friend's house a decade ago, but sadly, never been called a slower on Xbox Live. So take my friends on Halo Legends with all the salt. This is, like Animatrix, an anthology of several shorts, even complete with a weird out-of-place CGI one. I would go over each short, but I'm writing these out of order, and I realize how unbearably long this video is, so let's just do broad strokes. There's some good ones, and some lame ones. The first short, for example, Bad. It's just a bland expedition dump over the world of the series, which, like, would be fine for a full narrative, but with everything being separated, this feels like they're just trying to cover themselves if someone unfamiliar with Halo watched this. And as someone unfamiliar with Halo watching this, didn't help, especially with it being 20 minutes long. There's some good though, because it's really out of place, drawn in a much brighter art style, but I liked it. Also there's this one, with very striking visuals. It reminds me of those old games with digitalized actors like Mortal Kombat. But it also has the annoying results of a Predator and a Navi's one-night stand, who constantly laughs, "Oh my god, I wish someone could just kill her, oh." Overall, this is a fine anthology. Translates to anime well. I just don't care enough about the source material. This is one fight that's not worth finishing. I'm so sorry, John Halo. But I know why you're here. Let's talk about Cyberpunk Edgerunners. This will be a bit shorter as the series itself is fairly short, and most people have probably already seen it, and if you haven't, you really should. This is easily my favorite thing on the list, so go in blind. I just needed to include Rebecca in the thumbnail because I want people to actually watch this video. I know nothing about the Cyberpunk game besides Keanu Reeves, but this show is fantastic. Cyberpunk is admittedly an overdone aesthetic, but this show is just so gripping. We have a Studio Trigger of Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann fame, and it's not the last time we'll see them. And the series' style, both in looks and action, are in full force. Also, Giancarlo Esposito is the villain. This is the first download to fall to get bigger names to dub anime. And that's interesting. Breaking Bad joke. The best character for me though is definitely Rebecca. She's just so fun, but I love her genuine loyalty to everyone. Listen, Rebecca's like the least meat code character ever, and I still love her. That's how you know she's epic. Even if I don't like her for the reason everyone else does. I did notice though, her height changes a lot between scenes. Oh, I see how it is. When Steven Universe hit inconsistent heights, it's a death animation. But when the funny waifu does it, it's fine. I see through your freaking Jedi lies! So yeah, great show, and I brought a Jedi, here's a clever tradition. So Star Wars Visions is a show that made me want to make this video all the way back in 2021. I of course sat on this idea for so long that it's no longer technically anime, as just last year, we got season 2. Which unlike the first season, which was made exclusively by Studio Trigger, the second season is made by a whole bunch of studios. One being Japanese, most not. One is Aardman. We are so close to Waltz and Drama anime. I'll cover all season 1, plus the anime 1 of season 2. The duel really stands out, both for having a different art style than the normal anime look, and for being the most clearly not in the same universe as the main stuff. Being set in ancient Japan, it fits a normal tale of a wandering samurai entering a corrupt town and taking down a bandit gang, but you know, Star Wars. Again, the style is really cool here. Kinda wish we got to see more of the Ronin, honestly. I think more of this guy going town to town, taking out Sith would be really cool. Tatooine Rhapsody is usually seen as the worst one, but I don't know, I like it. It's about a band where one of the members is a Hutt, and they need to prove their worth to Jabba or he'll kill him. The Hutt band member, by the way, is named Geezer. He's in a band. Play it. I don't know, I just like the atmosphere here. Geezer is a fun character, and the song is really good. Unless you're watching the dub. The dub is mostly good, but the songs do not work. It's also worth noting that it's the only segment from the first season to feature characters from the movie, as both Jabba and Boba Fett appear. The twins is my favorite. I love seeing these two twins split apart. The animation at the end is fantastic, and in the dub you can tell Alison Brie's having absolute balls am. The droid here looks a bit interesting though. The Village Bride is the most Ghibli-esque short here. But that's not the only time I mentioned Ghibli, that's right, remember that Ghibli Grogu shirt? I promised I would deep dive it for my Star Wars video. Here are my thoughts on the Ghibli Grogu shirt. It's cute. Anyways, this one really dives into the philosophy of Star Wars, and is a much calmer short. But also really cool, I like it. The Last Jedi has a fun twist in Star Wars. Generally, the heroes look like fairly normal humans, while the villains are literally Satan or Mr. Robot Lizard. This has a very obvious villain not be the villain, and these Jedi actually being Sith. Seems like that's an easy thing to do. This is a series where the villain is named Darth Vader, and the whole evil dark side is literally called Dark Side, so that's notable. More notable is the monkey. Even more notable is the really cool bits of lore here. That being that first before you become a true Jedi, you have to discover yourself first, without being connected to how strong a lightsaber is. T0B1 is my least favorite of the group. It's definitely not bad, but like, it's just Astro Boy. There's no punchline. It's literally just what if Astro Boy was in Star Wars. That is it. That is all. The Elder is really cool. About this old Sith who rejects the reviews and who hides away to eventually find a true challenge. It also has a really cool aesthetic, and I love the mystery of Elder himself. Also, the Elder is voiced by James Hong. Papa Note Show is the tale of the two siblings, one adopted. You'll never guess which one. Trying to mend their relationship as one drifts to the dark side. It's a shockingly bittersweet story, and honestly, Lop is adorable. Why she get no attention outside of Fur Affinity? I'd buy a plush of her. This leads to the final of the season, Akari. It's a little too similar to Anakin's story, but it does help stand out thanks to its dreamy visuals and cinematography, giving it a look no other series has. While I really like Season 2, only one short of it is anime, being The Pit by D.R. Chiacho. I also worked on One Piece and Attack on Titan. That's one of my favorites from this lineup, about stormtroopers forcing a group of slaves to mine away in a pit, and leaving them to die when they find something that they're looking for. Someone has been escaped the pit before they can be misled by it, raised by it. But of course, it has a bittersweet ending too. This is a great lineup of shorts. I appreciate how disconnected they are from the main Star universe. Here's my rating for Season 1, and for fun, here's my rating of Season 2. Sorry, Gromit, I can't talk about yours now, but soon. So I was thinking, dangerous pastime I know, if Western anime fans would be so fun to be around, are there Japanese cartoon fans? And are they the same? The answer, kind of sadly, is no. There's not some Japanese person in his mother's basement decrying all anime as mediocre trash, wishing he was born in America so he could watch real animation like Uncle Grandpa, as God intended. We're hoping to go to the US and be just like Family Guy. There is, of course, some exceptions, but Western animation is not as big of a trend as anime is here. Again though, there's exceptions. Most really big things. Disney and Pixar are of course really big over there. I've seen tons of fan art of various Western series by Japanese artists. Some series that are highly inspired by anime have crossover, like Owl House, Teenage Robot, and the previously mentioned PPG. Not Avatar though. Despite its anime-inspired art, the philosophies and general approach to it don't go with the Japanese views. Or are cute, like SpongeBob, Gumball, and the previously mentioned Stitch. The creator of Chainsaw Man liked Adventure Time and South Park enough to base his characters off of them. Really? And there's unironic debate between Japanese King of the Hill fans enough to sub or dub is better, as dub would ruin the American feel of the show. I love this. There's one example that stands above the rest though, and that's Tom and Jerry. It's extremely popular over there, the series being the only Western property to make a list of best animation in a somewhat recent poll over there, and it constantly tops most popular Western series in the country. The reason is pretty easy to get. Not only is it a long-running and iconic series, it also has the cutest appeal, and most importantly, it's super easy to transport overseas due to the limited dialogue in the series. This caused the show to have not only exclusive merchandise, but also something that makes this long-winded speech relevant to this video, a line of Japanese exclusive shorts. I give it a long-winded speech because there's not much to these. They're very cute, but most of your average Tom and Jerry fare, just neutered more than Tom will be after destroying his owner's house for the 12th time. They really have the characters get more so pranking each other rather than the normal pure utter bloodlust they usually have. But the nice colors and animation makes it a fun time. Yeah, not much to say here. They're cute. I think he ate the cheese. So research from this made me realize how broad this topic is, most notably that I could include a lot of things based on classic literature. Say you have a classic book, and it's almost certainly got an anime. The problem with most of these is they're very straight adaptations, which isn't as interesting. Also, everyone's adapted most of these stories already. From interesting ones you might have heard of, there's Lupin III, based on the novel series Arsène Lupin, and Howl's Moving Castle, based on the story of the same name. Both of these are great in their own right, but both are also far more well known than the original stories. It doesn't really feel like I should discuss them. But there is one that's both weird enough, yet well known enough to discuss. Les Miserables, a popular novel turned stage play, turned movie, turned fighting game, turned anime. You get yourself a woman that can do anything. This is Les Miserables Soju Castle. So I watched all 52 episodes and, well, it's a straight adaptation of Les Mis, alright. I don't know, I just heard a Les Miserables anime. I thought it was going to be some wacky stuff mixing with fighting game, but it's a pretty by the numbers adaptation. I do quite like it though. I like the main character, I like the look of it. If you want to sit through 52 episodes, it's my preferred way to watch the series. Definitely better than the movie, I'll say that. Star Trek Troopers is weird. Based off a book I admittedly never read, but I have seen the movie. And from what I can tell, the film is basically a parody of the book. Also Bugs. Somehow, the book got anime too. And it's, well, a fairly generic space war anime. I mean, it's not bad. Being only 6 episodes long, you're not going to lose a lot of time watching it. Plus, I really like the aesthetic older animes have. It's just not super special. I do like this scene. Also, they're not bugs in this version. They're jellyfish. You're messing with the lore! think when I said about Halo, I just Control-C, Control-V for Mass Effect. I never played a single game in this franchise. I know nothing about it besides the third game having the worst ending of all time. That goes against the entire plot of the franchise, and it's so horrific, I meant that literally retired before he could make a part 2 of the series. So I'm going into Mass Effect Paragon completely blind. The film focuses on Commander Vega, who leads a team on a new mission to ensure that an unknown species survives. We start with one recruit sexually harassing someone for making a homophobic joke. He dies, right? Oh, thank God. The animation here is pretty good, kind of in between of a standard anime art style and a more stylized Western action show. Oh my God, it's a puppy! I love puppies! If getting utterly yeeted in the initial space fight, the crew does manage to capture Turtle Guy. The best character, I love him. But hey, Vega's a pretty competent guy. He can pull himself together. He needs to set an example for a little girl who looks up to him. Alright, let's spin the wheel. What horrible fate's gonna befall her? Yeah, that works. It mostly displays a fight between the heroes and some bugs. Which, like, let's freaking go! I'm so glad I finally got Bug Birder. For Starship disappointed me. While I'm not a Mass Effect guy, this was a good film. I really like the characters, and I didn't want them to die. The animation is really good. Even if you're not into Mass Effect, I say give this a go. Supernatural is a well-known Tumblr radio that somehow also has a TV series. I've seen one episode of it, despite having more episodes than SpongeBob. And yes, of course it's a Scooby-Doo crossover, what else would it be? It's also popular enough to get anime. Anime that has no need to exist, to be frank. As for what I can find, it's just retelling the first 2 seasons. It's not bad, granted, but it's not convincing me to watch the series. I mean, it's not its purpose. It's clearly made for fans of the show, and the show doesn't even bother to explain anything about it. Maybe if I knew anything about the show besides Scooby-Doo and holding the world record for the Barry Your Gay speedrun, but for now, not for me. If you like it, great. Well, this Wayward Son is carrying on. So, remember Bright? You know, that awful Netflix Will Smith film that has some of the worst race allegories in history? The one that for some reason raises the films where Will Smith says Shrek counter to 2? Well, here's the anime movie, Bright Samurai Soul. Unlike the original, this is based in major restoration in Japan, and the race isn't really much of a factor. Instead, it focuses more on a young elf girl trying to find her way out of bad treatment while being hunted down by this guy, who from the back looks like Mipha. The film is actually pretty good, much better than its source. Though being better than Theodore Rex, written by George R.R. Martin, is not a huge deal. This is cel shaded 3D, which despite the rubbiness of the fight scenes, looks really good. And the, well, brightness of it really helps it stand out. I also like the main orc guy. He's basically just Sully Monsters Inc. A big blue guy has to do one thing, but bonds with a kid enough to take his big, Shrek-looking behind all the way back to Fiona. Overall, a shockingly good experience. Rule 34. If it exists, there's porn of it. I want to know, what rule is it that if it exists, there's a Marvel and DC version of it? I swear to God, if any medium or toy or whatever starts existing, John Marvel and Jacob DC will materialize in the office of whoever created it and immediately slap Batman and Spider-Man onto it. They have no shame. So it's only a matter of time before they both got anime. Marvel literally has a whole sub-series called Marvel Anime, consisting of 4 series and 2 movies, plus 2 unrelated series. The first one I watched was Disc Wars.
Iron Man! D-Smash!
No, Iron Man! Don't punch me in the dick!
I'll show you, Tech.
Ooh! So this is an interesting series. It basically turns the Avengers into a monster collecting anime. Like, the main character is literally just Ash. But unlike most monster collection anime, where they're collecting mostly just kind of animals, the Avengers and the villains everyone collects are still, like, full human beings. None of them really seem to care they're stuck in discs for the rest of their life. Oh well. This is actually a fun show. Yeah, a bit of a standard hero and monster collection show, but they actually have a lot of dynamics you don't see a lot in Marvel. And I like the main groups of kids. Definitely better than the 2010 Universal line of cartoons Marvel had around the time. So while that was made by Toei Animation, most of these anime are made by Madhouse. This leads me to the 4 12-episode series they made, focusing on Iron Man, the X-Men, Blade, and Wolverine, all going to Japan for one reason or another. These really don't need to take place in Japan. It's mostly more to target to their tastes. Look at the Iron Man one, for example. Tony goes to Japan to show his new tech, the Dio suit. But like, he doesn't go to any notable places in Japan or anything. They say he's in Wisconsin and the show's the same. Heck, they even have a news writer who's just J. Jonah Jameson, down to his dub actor.
It is I, the chameleon.
I like it though. It does different things from the movies, but it's still the Iron Man you know. This movie, Rise of Technovore, is great despite the name making me uncomfortable. Mostly because the villain's really threatening, despite being an anime pretty boy. The Blade one has Blade go to Japan to take on vampires there. And that's really all there is to it. Honestly, there's not much to these. It's just a normal story of these characters, but it's anime now. Well, I do like the X-Men one. It's about the team going to Japan to help a mutant there alongside stopping around their villains. It's a nice expansion of the series that still feels like it. Also, I know people like to complain about how this metaphor for marginalized groups occasionally includes marginalized groups, but Wolverine and Cyclops in this, they're gay. There's no debate. The final one is Wolverine. Oh, and I guess I should discuss Wolverine a bit. He appears in all the other anime, and he's a younger version of himself than usual. Probably cash in the Hugh Jackman version. I'm fine with it, but it's a bit jarring considering how, in animation, I usually think of the older, more gruff version. Heck, even Discord stuck to that. This one's fine. It's about Wolverine going to Japan to try and find his lost love, and then stop a forced wedding. Honestly, I'm just not into this Wolverine than most versions. But at its core, it's fine.
It was kill or be killed.
Oh, and also there's another Marvel anime. I didn't watch it. Guys, I had to watch like 20 of these things in this video. Are you really gonna lose sleep if I didn't discuss one more Marvel anime? No, you won't. Your ex won't call you. Your dad won't come back. The world will still rot. Let's move on. And that leads us to DC. DC has a wide and varied collection of characters that could be great anime. They made 2 Batman movies. Gotham Knight is an anthology series similar to Animatrix. The first story is really cool. About a group of kids describing their experience seeing Batman fighting someone who I think is supposed to be Firefly. I really like stories where people recount what a figure is, all different and blending truths and fiction. It's really cool. The next one has a similar vibe of the characters talk what they think Batman is before he appears, but focusing more on 2 cops discussing his morality. No, but this is really cool. It was one of the best Batman moments I've ever seen. And Rob Paulsen swearing in almost the exact voice he uses for Technus. That's funny. The next one is pretty good, albeit standard. It has good action, and I like that it shows Batman will go out of his way to help even criminals. I like Bruce Wayne looks exactly like Light Yagami though. Okay, so in the first one, Batman's weird abilities were just because he was made up by kids. But this one has Batman hang upside down like a real bat and materialize randomly, and he's apparently a Terminator? Cool? No, but the style of this one really carries it. The one after it is lighter than Batman stuff, but I think like it's taking Cassandra Cain. And it's one of my favorites. After that is a short that has Batman reflect Deadshot's bullets like this. Gordon Ramsay hates this short. No, but this one's really cool. Batman Ninja is weird though. When I first heard this film, I assumed it was going to be a fun Elseworlds story. No, it's about Gorilla freaking Groddovall characters making a machine to send all of Gotham to samurai times. Now they gotta get back to the past. Ninja Batman. The animation is kind of weird. It's 3D animated, and the frame drops really don't work. What does work is casting Tony Hale as the most evil, most twisted villain of all time. Mr. Newman from Sanjay and Craig. He's also Joker here, and he's cool, I guess. Actually, the reinterpretations of all the Batman characters is definitely the best part of the film. They blend their old designs and the style of the film really well. I do wish they stuck true to the ancient Japanese look instead of giving everyone a more advanced tech. But, Gorilla Grodd's mech eating a giant Two-Face mech is raw as heck. Yeah, and then there's a giant monkey mech. Okay, I don't think you're supposed to take this film seriously. I mean, it's a stupid film, but it's a fun one. Both of the fun Batman references, like all Robins, or again the reinterpretation of the villains, and because Batman tries to blend in with Japan, but I'm blazing his outfit with a giant freaking bat symbol. And yes, I did make this video right now, so we wouldn't have to discuss the Suicide Squad anime and this Joker design. Okay, so I never heard of the French comic. God, I hate I don't swear. MZFK is its other title, sure, but again, an anime film, so here it is. The film is about 3 friends, Mr. Game & Watch, Baby Ghost Rider, and Pikachu on meth, and they stumble into a big conspiracy. This all starts because Angelo sees the beautiful woman who he swears is a dream in real life. Wow, they made 2 Scott Pilgrim animes? The president is named Cortex. Wow, he's really moving up in life. But no, this is a fun film. I like the contrast between the really cartoony main characters and the secondary cast, including Metro Man. Heck, there's even some in-betweens of realistic and cartoony, like this wrestler El Tigre. If you think it's a reference to a certain Nick cartoon, yes! Speaking of that, this shockingly managed to get Danny Trejo, Giancarlo Esposito, again, and even RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan to voice in it. This is definitely the most obscure thing here. So when I end it here, I recommend you give it a watch. We need to find out why the skeleton is on fire. RWBY is an interesting series, in a couple ways. It feels like one of the first internet series to really blow up into the mainstream. But I just remember seeing merch in stores for this, which is unheard of outside of like Northern Orange. It also has an extremely vocal hate base that's still super active long after even the actual fan base is. Also, all the people refer to it as anime. It is not. It's made in Texas. Do not make me bring up a King of the Hill thing again. I like the show well enough, but you don't need to dig deep to find problems with it. Like killing the best character, reviving her, then immediately killing her again. what did I do to deserve this? V is an anime discussion, got revived back in 2022 when it actually did get an anime, and it's not very special. I mean, it's good enough, but at the start it's just retelling the first volume without much added. Only to very jarringly pivot into this dream world caused by a new Grimm, named, of course, Nightmare, the only villain name. I do like the dream world. It's very creative and varied and shows Weiss' views very well, but I honestly prefer the original show. I mean, I do like seeing all the voice actors return, redoing this dialogue now they're more familiar with the roles, but I don't know. It's just not what I expect from the series. Something feels off. But hey, at least Penny's in this, and she doesn't die this time! But if you like the show, you'll probably like this. Not much else to say. So I originally had a joke here, Rooster Teeth, but this was written before Rooster Teeth kind of exploded. So rest in peace, Rooster Teeth. Thank you for all of the content you've given us. This can't be funny all the time, okay? And that leads us to the last thing I want to discuss, and the most recent. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Based on the comic series, this is the 4th version of Scott, and thus decided to take a more unique approach to the series. Instead of telling the normal story of Scott needing to fight 7 evil exes to win the love of his new girlfriend, Ramona Flowers, Scott seemingly dies in his first fight, and the story pivots to Ramona trying to find him and set her exes on a better path. Obviously, people were not happy with being misled by the presents, and also because women, gross. But hey, this is the 4th Scott Pilgrim story. It's been a decade since the last one, and at this point, most people know what to expect here. This gives us the excuse to do something new with these beloved characters, and more notably, explore some of the lesser developed ones. I do really like this aspect. These are just some fun characters, and it adapts the strange world they live in perfectly. With that said, if you're watching Scott Pilgrim for Scott Pilgrim, sucks to suck I guess, he's barely in it. But like, literally everyone I've ever discussed the series with has their favorite character be Ramona, so like, I don't think many people lost sleep over this. I will say, I do wish Scott did more, since Michael Cera did a really good job here. Oh yeah, they have the entire cast come back for the dub. That's great. Actually insane. Like, this was a stacked cast back in 2010, but now? Keep in mind, the film was made before First Avenger. Chris Evans wasn't as big as he is now. And that applies to most of these guys. I will say, the performances are mixed, and there's a clear pattern to it. Mae Whitman gives undeniably the best performance here. I absolutely loved Roxy in this. She balances her insanity with his genuine moments greatly. She's also the only true voice actress here. Jason Schwartzman, Chris Evans, and Michael Cera also all did greatly. And again, all have voiceover experience. Everyone else, well, not bad. You can tell they really do voiceover. Particularly notable with Audrey Plaza as Julie Powers. But it's great hearing these guys again, along with seeing them because, wow, the animation is fantastic. Even more than the game, this is the comic in motion. It's beautiful, with them making these simplistic designs really super expressive. I also appreciate more depth for the League. Already memorable characters really all come to their own, except the twins. Already the lamest exes. Now they do literally nothing, not even getting their own episode like the rest. Matthew Patel I also wish did more. He takes over the League after a great fight, but then he just kind of does nothing and doesn't have the same presence Gideon did in the comic and movie. But overall, the side characters are great. Especially young Neil. He is just me. Speaking of just me, this tries to counter the literally me for realness Scott attracted. And it did so fine. Shows why Scott should be idolized, but didn't go too far in demonizing him. It would have been better if he actually had any interaction with Knives before the breakup, or shown to be more scummy, but by the time we met back with him, he mostly mellowed out after seeing his future. Still, I really love this series. It looks great. Expands on the world while still keeping true to it. It's just really funny. If this is where anime adaptations are going, I welcome it. You know, if people actually call them anime. And I'm calling it there. I could go on. There's some Rick and Morty shorts, or that one Simpsons Treehouse horror episode that was produced in Japan. Even having the normal Simpsons actors record their lines after the animation is done, like how it's done in anime dubs. But I need to get this off my back. I also wanted to discuss Underworld and this war, but I physically could not find parts 2 and 3. Part 1 is everywhere, but as far as I know, the other parts don't exist. The whole phenomenon is really interesting to me. I mean, I can't imagine all the hoops that had to be jumped through between so many companies and people across the globe just to have a samurai version of a Will Smith movie. Honestly, with how popular redrawing everything to anime art style is, I'm all for having more of these. It's clear a lot of media nowadays is taking a lot of anime influence, luckily since most people who are making these nowadays grew up on anime, so it's all going full circle. Well, I guess full circle would be Western animation based on anime, since godfather of anime, Osamu Tezuka, based his work off DuckTales, which means all media is really DuckTales, which is based on ducks. That means all media is ducks!